Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to do something a bit special tonight and look at essentially the future of flight as seen through Microsoft's eyes. So this is Microsoft Flight Sim 2025 and I bought basically all the planes, and you get these four futuristic aircraft, which are all real aircraft that are in various stages of flight testing and kind of getting ready for commercial use. I'm going to say the volocopter's not working very well, at least with the setup I've got at the moment. So I'll just test these three tonight, and they're all quite different. But what I find fascinating is the way these aircraft fly, and I thought I'd just share with you a little bit what I found. So I'm going to start here with the Jetson One. So you can see it's a one-seater aircraft, and then we'll go into these other ones here, which operate a little bit differently. They have normal flight mode as well as a kind of drone mode. So it's a VTOL and a CTOL. So we're in Brazil. We're at Sugarloaf Mountain, and I'm just gonna launch in here, and I'll just talk you through why I find these aircraft interesting, why they're perhaps relevant for the future of flight. So the first one is the Jetson. As you can see, it's basically just a very big drone, and I think the founder of this one has been flying it around. The interesting thing about all of these aircraft is the way that the software allows you to interact with them. So I love all kinds of aircraft. I'm fascinated by flight, and I particularly like the really sort of visceral ones like the Antonov 2, the N2, because you feel it when you fly. But all these modern ones, you might think are a bit boring because the software kind of takes over. But actually, they're very interesting because they try to make flight more safe and more easy, perhaps. So as you can see, it's got these 8 motors. It's 4 pylon double motors for redundancy, and I have a small DJI drone at home that has fallen out of the sky. So I think it's really important when you're basically relying on the software to do all this stuff for you. I think you probably do need to do something to get this going. There you go. So one of the reasons I love these aircraft is that you can fly them on. Let me just give you a bit of desktop sound here. So you might have that droning in the background. Yeah, you can fly all of these basically with an Xbox controller, so they're very kind of accessible. So as you saw there, your A and your B control the throttle on the left there, and if we go outside, the drones basically hover in a kind of automatically stabilized drone mode. So if you've got a DJI drone, you'll see that they hover. They use GPS to sort of position themselves, and that's what this one appears to be doing. So you push forward on the stick, drive forward. As you can see, the vertical speed is not changing. Same when I throttle off, it just slows down. So very easy to fly. It's only doing about 50 knots, this one. If I use the left and right trigger on my Xbox controller, I can rotate. The right stick does a camera, so it's not quite the same as your drone controller if you've got one at home. But as you can see, it's very easy to fly and to control. So basically I'm using the A and B button, B to go down. So if I click on this a bit, you see that it will go down. Press up again, it will stabilize on that hover mode quite easily. So as you can see, it's very easy to control. Still going down a little bit. Just go up a tiny bit. I'm just tapping the A. A little bit difficult because it's button pressing, it's not an analog slider. If you've got a joystick throttle, it'll be a bit easier. As you can see there, very easy to land, very precise. And this aircraft is a lot of fun simply because it's tiny. You can go into little tiny spots and bring her down where you probably wouldn't be able to bring anything else. Throttle control, I think it's going to be quite a nice flying experience. I think you can have a lot of fun with your friends and these things. There you go, dead easy. Bring her down. So that's the Jetson One. It basically flies like a drone. Software is controlling pretty much everything going on there, and you can see it's a one-seater, tiny little thing. the next one I'll have a look at is the Joby, or the Joby, if you're Scottish. This one is very interesting, so I'll do the same. I'll do helipad. And it took me a while to learn how to operate this and the Archer, but I think I figured it out. So, if you want to fly this, I'll go inside. So, don't get scared that the motors go forward. Can I put the brakes on? Right, if you're inside this one, you need to go here, turn this screen on, and this control here is very important. So to go up, basically you pull back on the stick, and if you look on your left hand side, so your right hand side, pulling back will immediately put you in this hover mode. You can see on these instruments here what's going on. So I'm pulling back on the stick, vertical speed goes up. Push forward on the stick, vertical speed goes down. It takes a while to catch up. Left and right does yaw, and if I tip to the right, I'll roll and it will move sideways. It'll stabilize. So if I've got full left in, it goes along till it's got some speed, and then it stabilizes. So it's got all of the software helping you there for these kind of precise maneuvers. Now the interesting thing is that this can go forward in a normal flight mode. So you can see it's basically a drone just now, up and down, left and right joystick, and then the two triggers will do your yaw. So what I found is that if you press A, so A is mapped to throttle, you'll see that that goes there to 12 knots, and this will tilt these motors very slightly forward, and it kind of flying you forward in a slow kind of drone mode. And you can push B on the Xbox controller or backwards on your throttle, and you'll see it'll go backwards. It takes a while. It's -1 knot, and she'll go backwards slowly. You see there. So you press A, it clicks into the middle, and it takes a while to stop. So you need to kind of get used to that. For some reason, I keep getting these aircraft malfunctions. I'm not too sure why that is. So go forwards again, full forwards, and you can see it now. It goes to 12, but if you keep pressing A, it goes to fly. And if you go outside now, you'll see what happens is the rotors tilt forwards. You start to get airspeed on the left, 35, 37 knots. And she shouldn't really drop out the sky. It will control the lift, so you shouldn't drop down at all. And as you can see, this thing, it's got a really good speed. So here we are, we're going along, and she'll do about 160 knots, I think. So there's a lot of software controlling things here. I have no idea if that's the way the real thing works, but it's pretty cool. As you can see there, our range is now 41 nautical miles. So you can see that's come back to the middle, so we're not accelerating anymore. 163, it's a sort of nominal cruise speed. 54 miles, 20 minutes range. So this thing on 42% of battery can still do 63, 65 miles. Probably wouldn't do that because you're going to come into some kind of hover mode to land. So that's one of the things seems to be an issue with this aircraft, is that it won't. I didn't find a way to take off and land in a conventional way. So it's made for vertical takeoff, vertical landing. Let's go back inside. So here's some ships. This is Rio, looking pretty nice. That was Sugarloaf. There's downtown Rio. Let's fly over to where there's other stuff. So you can see here, I've put in a big bank. Software's controlling it. I've got no vertical speed, pretty much. So very easy to fly, and that's, I think, what it's all about. The software doing it for you. I've got the ships turned on because, as you know, I like ships. So how does this behave when we want to come in, let's say land conventional at this airport here? So I'm pressing B, throttling down. So you can see there, she's slowing down rapidly. And she will transition. You'll see that the props turn up. So once you lose airspeed. It's gone yellow here. I think this is basically where she's going to transition. Yeah, the props start to go up. And she goes into hover controls there. So at the moment I'm all the way back, so I can put it in the middle. That blue dot's important, and you'll be hovering perfectly. So you can see their forward speed goes to 0, and then I can push forward on my stick and go down. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to try and land it somewhere. So this bit is a bit tricky. So we've gone full forward again, fly, and you'll see that this switches to fly mode. So they're tilting forward, airspeed not active. There we go, flight controls. And as far as I remember, somewhere along here it does say, time to hover, required distance to hover. So this will basically give you the distance that you need to stop this thing. So I know there's a helipad over there at the Sugarloaf. So we need 1 minute 23, so let's back off. I'm slowing down now. Slow down a bit more. So this bit is where you kind of need to learn how to fly the thing, I reckon. Put this in the middle again. So very slow deceleration. Now that I'm a bit closer, and then I'll decelerate more rapidly. And the pad's over here, so 74. Let's bring her up again. 60. So going along at 65, and I can still fly like a normal aircraft, so nose up. You can see she's kind of partially hovering. And I want to slow her down again. 500. So full hover. You can see there 50, 40. And there's my helipad on the left. I'm going to bring this, I shouldn't start going backwards. There we go. I'll go outside for this. And I'm just pushing forward on the stick, like I'm dropping the nose. A little bit of forward speed. And yeah, basically very easy to fly, and you literally can fly with an Xbox controller. You can hear these clicks as my throttle or the speed control goes into these indents. There we go. When she's down, stick. I don't quite know how to stop her. I think if you just let go of the stick, she'll just stop. So that's the Joby. She's fast. As far as I can tell, she can only really do a vertical takeoff and landing. And then the Archer, this took me a while to get to know it. This is a really interesting aircraft. So you've got any liveries? No. So this is a bit bigger. I didn't see how many seats. I think that had 3 seats. This has got 4 seats plus a pilot. So faster cruise speed there, lower cruise speed there. Just have a look at this. Range is more in the Joby, less here. Yeah, so the Archer is really interesting because the Archer can take off and land on a normal runway, as far as I can tell. So let's get into the Archer. Right, I'm going to change the time, although evening flight is quite nice in Brazil. Just make it a bit more YouTube friendly. Knock the time back a bit. Let's do morning. Okay. Live weather. Let's have a look. It's probably gorgeous. Right. So as you can see here, Archer's got these props which flip forward at the front. Really interesting props with kind of winglets on them, or tip foils, I don't know what you call it, and then sort of more traditional propellers in the back. So we'll get inside the Archer. We will turn it on, which is the the switch on the right. So I've spent a little bit more time trying to figure out how to fly this. And it takes quite a while to do this AHRS align. As you can see here, there's an Archer software on the right hand screen. So all these futuristic aircraft companies have basically got their own software, which is, as you can see there, it's putting those props up. So the props go into the vertical position. And then, okay, this takes a little bit longer to align. So this is kind of the same thing. You get joystick, that's my right stick there. So you can see it's controlling this part here. And if I pull back, you can see she just goes up. So the torque here is the props. Sorry, if I right click, she'll move around. So in this sense, it's the same as the Joby. She will go up on the back stick, down on the forward stick. In this case, left and right trigger are doing roll and therefore strafe, left and right. And my left stick is doing yaw in this case. Right. So the interesting thing is I press A, and you can see that left joystick goes forwards. And basically in this slow moving hover now, so you can see it moving about 10 knots. And these propellers are doing interesting things. Now, I couldn't basically get this to go into flight mode until I realized I could click this little thing, and this is actually mapped to your D-pad. So in order to go forward, so see if I keep pressing forward, you can see it's in this hover mode here, and it's in a hold mode. So she won't go faster, she's in hover mode. I can fly her around slowly. This is what I'd use for an approach. There's less sound in this because I've got earphone simulation on this aircraft. But as you can see, it's very controllable. I've got exactly the same height as before, so you should be able to kind of fly into this helipad. But we're not going to do that. We are going to fly this thing. So, in order to get going, you need to press forward on your D-pad. And you'll see that that hold switches to accelerate. And you'll see that this autopilot speed effectively set there to full 96 knots. Probably too quick, but you'll see the motors now tilt down. Those motors on the back, interestingly enough, once she's got aerodynamic lift, they stop. So this is obviously some design compromise that you need to make to not have these rotating like the Joby one. It was a very clever design with two wings, and these probably don't create too much resistance in that. Because obviously there is resistance there. So then, like the Joby, she flies like a normal aircraft. Again, she will not dive out of the air. The software is kind of controlling that. And yeah, I find this aircraft really interesting to fly because you can land her at a normal airstrip. I think that changes the operational game quite a lot because you can take off and land using significantly less battery, I assume. So to do a landing, you press back on the D stick and you'll see that it switches to decel mode, and you can see that she's accelerating quite quickly there. Just take it outside so you can see that basically her props, the back props come on to give you some lift, and the front ones are transitioning there. So she's now down into hover mode, and I can push forwards on the stick. And that will bring me down. And if I go full forward, should be have about 10 knots, 21 knots you can see there. So it switches into this hover mode automatically, and then if you're pressing full forward, she won't change any of that stuff. But yeah, what I also found was, so if I go back into fly mode, so I could do a hover landing like that. So we're going back into fly mode. You can switch off that power lift, and this will allow you to fly a normal approach. I need to check the wind actually. So here we are, flying normal. And as far as I know now, I can just do a normal approach. Let's try. The interesting thing is you can see there I'm trying to climb, and you can see those back propellers are coming in a little bit to help kind of get to stall speed. Full power. Try. So she's not as fast. She'll do about 110 knots. Not as fast as the Joby. But I think it's probably quite significant if you can land an aircraft normal mode. Let's see. So let's try it. So you can see my speed is pretty much now not moving from 80 odd. I think I'm preventing it from going into that other mode, basically. 80 knots is not too fast. Holding now. Oops. Right. Horrible landing. So I'm holding that back button. Sorry, the B button or the decelerate button. And you can see there it just can do a conventional landing. Sorry, that was absolutely horrible. And the same if I fully throttle up. Because that power lift thing is off, she will do normal takeoff as well. 40 knots, 50. You can see there's some marks on the tape, on the speed tape there. Again, so this back propeller's kicking in a little bit. So climb up. So again, software doing some clever stuff. So pretty interesting aircraft. And I'm going to put that power mode on again. I'm going to land on the beach and do something cool. So I'm in deceleration mode. Just hit back on the D-pad again. Changes your mode. Try and get to a good height. 50 knots. I don't think this is Copacabana. I think this is the other beach. Brazil. Still in deceleration mode. Props should switch. So we're switching there. Just need to be kind of patient. Actually need to hold. Right, and then push forwards. Still going forward a little bit. 2 knots, you can see there. 1 knot, 0. Hold it down. Come down on the ground and the motors will stop. Right, and the coolest thing about this aircraft is this little thing here. Charger. Funnily enough, you probably just about hear that, but it's internal combustion engine. Maybe it's gas. It's burning something here. It's some kind of portable charger. So they built this kind of charging infrastructure. And if you go in the plane inside, let me just move. Oh shit! I didn't want to do that. Landed. So if you move over here and you turn the plane off, she will charge. So I left it for like 10 minutes and she added like a little bit here. So you can see your fuel go up. So you do have this kind of, because I took off, that will be disappeared. But you need to trust me. Basically this here is a magic little way to recharge. So I think that's pretty cool. As you can see, different design, just got a bit more seats as the Joby, not as fast, but I think that ability to land on a normal airfield might be the game changer. Yeah, that's all from me. That's some of these aircraft which I consider the future of flight in Microsoft Flight Simulator and how to fly them. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.